March 14, 1944, 11:47 p.m. Bletchley Park, Buckinghamshire, England. The bomb machine thunders in Block D like a mechanical heart. 30 rotating drums spin at impossible speeds, each drum housing 26 electrical contacts representing every letter of the alphabet. The noise is deafening, a constant metallic grinding punctuated by sharp clicks as the machine tests thousands of rotor positions per minute. Third Officer Ruth Bourne stands before machine number 47, her hands poised above the wheel assembly, watching the clock on the far wall tick closer to midnight. She's 23 years old, a Women's Royal Naval Service volunteer who arrived at this satellite station in Eastcote just 10 months ago. Her blue uniform is rumpled from 7 hours on shift. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across rows of identical machines, 23 bombs, in this room alone, part of a network of 213 machines operating across Britain. Each machine is 6.5 feet tall, weighing over a ton, designed by mathematician Alan Turing and engineer Gordon Welchman to break the German Enigma cipher. Bourne's station partner, Wren's Second Officer Janet Mills, calls out from the checking table, "7 minutes, Ruth. 7 minutes until the Germans change their cipher settings. 7 minutes until every Enigma machine in the Wehrmacht resets at midnight Berlin time, rendering all their current work obsolete. The pressure is absolute. If they don't crack today's settings before the clock strikes 12, the intelligence officers waiting in Hut 3 will have nothing to send to field commanders. Ships will sail without knowing where U-boat wolfpacks lurk. Infantry divisions will advance blind. Tank columns will roll into ambushes. The bomb suddenly stops. A mechanical arm locks into position with a sharp clang. Bourne's pulse quickens. This is called a stop, a potential solution to the Enigma settings. She yanks the wheel assembly from its mount, using tweezers to carefully extract the wire brushes. Her movements practiced, despite the urgency. The brushes go onto a wooden rack. She records the rotor positions: left drum 3, middle drum 6, right drum 3. Reflector position B, ring settings noted in her logbook. Possible stop at position 17,843, she shouts over the mechanical din. Mills snatches the paper, her chair scraping against concrete as she rushes to verify the settings against intercepted message fragments. The checking process takes 90 seconds that feel like hours. Other Wrens at adjacent machines don't even look up. They're fighting their own battles against the clock. "It's good," Mills confirms, waving the paper above her head. A motorcycle courier, Corporal David Hastings of the Royal Corps of Signals, appears at the door within 60 seconds. He's 21, face wind-burned from riding through the Buckinghamshire countryside in freezing March rain. Bourne hands him the decryption settings sealed in a canvas pouch. Hastings sprints to his BSA M20 motorcycle parked outside, kickstarts the engine, and roars toward Bletchley Park's main site, 3 miles away through unlit country roads. 11:52 p.m., 8 minutes to spare. In this room alone, 6 other bombs have produced viable stops in the past hour. Across the entire network at Eastcote, Stanmore, and Bletchley Park itself, nearly 80 machines are operational tonight. The Germans are transmitting thousands of encrypted messages, situation reports from Wehrmacht divisions, supply requisitions, casualty figures, tactical orders from field marshals to regiment commanders. Every message passes through Enigma machines, electromechanical cipher devices with 3 or 4 rotors, a plug board with 10 cables swapping letter pairs, and billions of possible settings. Breaking Enigma isn't elegant, it's industrial. It's mathematical brute force refined into a system. The factory floor, March 15, 1944. 8:03 a.m., Hut 6, Bletchley Park. Section leader Gordon Welchman strides between rows of wooden desks in Hut 6's registration room, his footsteps sharp against the wooden floorboards. He's 35 years old, a Cambridge mathematician who helped design the Bombe machine, and now oversees the section responsible for breaking German Army and Luftwaffe Enigma traffic. The room smells of cigarette smoke, tea and paper, mountains of paper covered in 5-letter cipher groups. Hut 6 has evolved from a small team of cryptanalysts huddled in a drafty wooden structure into a mechanized code-breaking factory employing several hundred personnel. The hut itself is misleading. By 1944, the operation has expanded into concrete block buildings connected by covered walkways, but the name persists out of habit and security. At Desk 4, temporary civilian assistant Margaret Briggs hunches over an intercept log, cross-referencing call signs. She's 19, recruited straight from a secretarial college in London, told only that she'd be doing important war work. She knows nothing about Enigma, nothing about cryptanalysis. Her job is pattern recognition, finding repeated letter groups in intercepted messages that might indicate German cipher operators reusing wheel settings or making procedural errors. Possible crib in message series JXQ, Briggs announces, sliding a paper across to senior cryptanalyst Stuart Milner Barry. Milner Barry, a 37-year-old chess champion who once competed at international tournaments, examines the intercept. A crib is predictable text that codebreakers can exploit. A weather report format, a standard military greeting, a lazy operator who starts every transmission with the same phrase. The Germans are supposed to avoid such patterns, but human error is inevitable when you're a radio operator in a frozen bunker on the Eastern Front, exhausted and under fire. Weather report from Luftflotte 3, Milner Barry confirms, pointing to the characteristic message structure. Standard format, Wetterbericht. They're using yesterday's greeting protocol. He passes the intercept to the machine room, where a team prepares settings for the bombers. The crib becomes the seed for the bomb's attack. The machine will test millions of rotor configurations to find which settings transform the ciphertext into the expected German plaintext. By 8:30 a.m., the first bomb solutions arrive from the overnight shift. Decryption keys for Army Group B's command network in northern France. Settings for Luftwaffe fighter squadrons in the Pas-de-Calais. Welchman's team feeds the keys into Type X cipher machines. British encryption devices repurposed to run the process in reverse, transforming German ciphertext back into readable German. The decrypted messages flow to Hut 3, where German-speaking intelligence officers translate and analyze the content. Then to MI6 for strategic assessment. Then to military commanders in the field via secure teleprinter links, the intelligence codenamed Ultra. The scale is staggering. In 1940, Bletchley Park decrypted 50 German messages per week. By 1943, they were processing 3,000 per day. Now, in March 1944, with Allied invasion plans accelerating, the daily count approaches 5,000 messages during peak operational periods. Every message is a data point. Every data point reveals movement, strength, supply status, morale, leadership disputes. Together, they form a real-time map of the German war machine. The 3-hour war march, 15th, 1944, 11:20 a.m. Hut 3, Intelligence Watch. Flight Lieutenant Edward Thomas sets down his teacup and picks up a freshly decrypted message, the German text still warm from the Type X machine. He's 29, a former Oxford linguistics student fluent in German, French and passable Russian. He's been on shift since 8 a.m., the day watch, one of 3 8-hour rotations that keep Bletchley Park operational around the clock. The message is from Generaloberst Johannes Blaskowitz, commander of Army Group G in southern France, to Oberkommando der Wehrmacht headquarters in Berchtesgaden. It's a routine supply requisition. 15,000 rounds of 88 mm anti-aircraft ammunition, 400 replacement vehicles, fuel allocations for March's second half. Routine, but revealing. Thomas annotates the translation. Confirms 21st Panzer Division remains dispersed south of Loire. Ammunition expenditure suggests training exercises, not combat readiness. He timestamps the message, intercepted at 9:47 a.m., decrypted by 10:35 a.m., translated and analyzed by 11:20 a.m. Total processing time, 93 minutes from German transmission to Allied intelligence report. During the upcoming invasion, Operation Overlord, still 7 weeks away, that turnaround time will drop to under 3 hours, sometimes as low as 2.5. Think about that. A German general dictates an order to his signals officer. The officer encodes it with an Enigma machine and transmits via radio. British listening stations, Y stations, scattered across England, intercept the encrypted signal. Motorcycle couriers race the ciphertext to Bletchley Park. Bombs crack the daily settings. Cryptanalysts decrypt the message. Linguists translate it. Intelligence officers analyze it. Teleprinters send it to Allied command. 3 hours. You could read a German field marshal's orders to his divisions before those divisions received them. Churchill called it the secret weapon. General Eisenhower would later say ultra-intelligence was decisive in shortening the war by 2 years, saving countless lives. But in March 1944, sitting in a cramped wooden hut with a cup of lukewarm tea, Edward Thomas doesn't think about grand strategy. He thinks about the next message in his stack, because there are always more messages. By noon, Thomas has processed 47 decrypts. Across Hut 3's 3 watches, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4 p.m. to midnight, midnight to 8 a.m., the daily count will exceed 300 translations from his section alone. Multiply that across all sections. Hut 8, handling German naval traffic, Hut 4 processing Mediterranean theater intercepts, the teams working on Luftwaffe communications, the numeral breaking Lorenz cipher messages from Hitler's direct command network using the Colossus computer. 7,000 people work at Bletchley Park and its satellite stations by 1944. They are linguists, mathematicians, engineers, radio operators, clerks, drivers, maintenance staff. Most are women, Wrens, WAF auxiliaries, civilian recruits. Most are under 25. Most have no idea what their colleagues in other huts are doing. Ruth Bourne, operating Bombe Machine 47, never learned the word Enigma until decades after the war ended. Margaret Briggs, finding cribs in Hut 6, thought she was simply identifying patterns in gibberish. Janet Mills, checking bomber stops, didn't know whether her work contributed to sinking U-boats or guiding bomber raids. Compartmentalization wasn't just security policy, it was psychological necessity. If you understood the stakes, the pressure might crush you. The order of battle, April 2nd, 1944, 3:15 p.m. MI6 section, Block B. Major Harold Peterson spreads reconnaissance photographs across the mahogany table in Conference Room 2, overlaying them with typed ultra-intelligence summaries. He's 41, a career military intelligence officer with combat experience in the Great War, now assigned to MI6's German Order of Battle section, the team responsible for tracking every Wehrmacht division, every regiment, every battalion across occupied Europe. The photographs show rail yards near Amiens, France. Taken by RAF Spitfire reconnaissance sorties 3 days ago, they depict freight cars, camouflage netting, possible tank transporters. Useful, but incomplete. Aerial photography can't tell you which unit those tanks belong to, where they're going, what their combat strength is, whether they're elite panzer divisions or obsolete training formations. Ultra can. Peterson cross-references the photographs with decrypted Enigma messages from the past 72 hours. March 30th, 11:40 a.m. Message from 116th Panzer Division Commander to OB West, Western Command, requesting rail transport allocation for movement north. March 31st, 8:22 p.m. Quartermaster report from Panzer Group West, noting fuel shortages affecting 3 divisions, including 116th. April 1st, 2:15 p.m. Logistics officer at Amiens, confirming arrival of tracked vehicles from 116th Panzer Division's Reconnaissance Battalion. The puzzle pieces align. Those tanks in the photographs belong to the 116th Panzer Division's forward elements, moving from southern France toward the English Channel coast. Current strength, approximately 90 operational tanks, 40 self-propelled guns, reduced infantry complement due to previous losses on the Eastern Front. Combat effectiveness, moderate. Strategic significance, high, because it's one of 10 panzer divisions Germany is positioning to counter the expected Allied invasion. Peterson updates his master map, a wall-sized chart of Western Europe marked with colored pins representing German divisions, blue for infantry divisions, red for panzer divisions, yellow for Luftwaffe field divisions, green for coastal defense units. Every pin has a card, noting the unit's designation, commander's name, estimated strength, recent movements, supply status. This map is rebuilt daily, sometimes hourly, using ultra-intelligence. Before Ultra, Allied intelligence relied on prisoner interrogation, captured documents, agent reports, aerial reconnaissance, methods that provided fragmentary, delayed, often unreliable information. You might learn about a German division's location 2 weeks after it had moved. You might mistake a depleted training unit for a full-strength combat formation. Ultra changes everything. By spring 1944, MI6's Order of Battle section can identify virtually every German division in France, track their movements within 48 hours, assess their combat readiness based on their own internal reports. When German generals argue about deployment strategy in encrypted radio messages, British intelligence officers read the transcripts over breakfast. Case in point, the command dispute between Field Marshal Erwin Rommel and Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt over panzer deployment strategy. Rommel wants panzer divisions positioned close to the coast for immediate counterattack. Rundstedt prefers holding them inland as a strategic reserve. Their encrypted arguments flow through Wehrmacht communication networks. Ultra-decrypts capture every detail. Allied planners learn that German armor is divided, command authority is fractured, response times will be slow. You're watching your enemy plan his defense while he's still planning it. By April 1944, Bletchley Park is processing an average of 3,500 German messages daily, with capacity to surge past 5,000 during major operations. Each message is a thread. Pull enough threads and the entire tapestry of German military operations becomes visible. Section 5. The Night Shift. April 18, 1944. 12:07 a.m. Block D Bomb Room, Stanmore. The midnight shift is called the Graveyard Watch, and Wren Petty Officer Diana Fletcher understands why. It's the loneliest rotation. Midnight to 8 a.m., when exhaustion battles adrenaline, when the minutes stretch like taffy, when you question whether your work matters because you never see the results. Fletcher is 22, assigned to Stanmore Station, one of Bletchley Park's satellite facilities housing dozens of Bombes in a converted schoolhouse. She's been on this shift for 6 weeks, part of a rotating schedule designed to distribute the burden. 1 week of day shift, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 1 week of evening shift, 4 p.m. to midnight, 1 day off, then 1 week of night shift, repeat indefinitely. The schedule is brutal. Your body never adjusts. You eat breakfast at dinner time, sleep through afternoons, lose track of days. Social life evaporates. Fletcher's mother writes letters asking why she never visits London anymore, not understanding that her daughter signed the Official Secrets Act and can't explain that she works around the clock breaking German military codes. Tonight, Machine 82 is running hot. The bomb has been cycling for 90 minutes without producing a stop. This happens. Sometimes the crib is wrong. Sometimes the Germans have altered their operating procedures. Sometimes it's just mathematical bad luck. Fletcher monitors the temperature gauges, checking for overheating that could damage the delicate wire brushes. At 12:43 a.m., the machine locks with a definitive clang. Fletcher's partner, Wren Sarah Ashworth, verifies the stop while Fletcher records rotor positions in her logbook. Good stop, viable settings. Courier dispatched within 3 minutes. They don't celebrate. There's no time. Machine 82's drums are already being reset for the next run, testing a different crib against a different message series. The pressure is constant, relentless. When the Germans change cipher settings at midnight, Bletchley Park has hours, not days, to crack the new configuration before critical intelligence becomes obsolete. Enemy convoy coordinates are useless if you decrypt them after the convoy reaches port. Luftwaffe raid warnings are pointless if you break the code after the bombers have returned to base. Speed matters. Every minute matters. Fletcher thinks about this sometimes during the dead hours between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., when fatigue makes her hands shake and coffee no longer helps. She wonders whether her work saves lives, whether the settings she extracts from Machine 82 help sink U-boats or guide Allied bombers to German factories or warn field commanders about enemy troop movements. She'll never know. The Official Secrets Act forbids discussing operations, even with other code breakers in different sections. Bombs operators don't talk to cryptanalysts. Cryptanalysts don't talk to intelligence officers. Intelligence officers don't reveal sources to military commanders. Information flows one direction, up, out, forward to the war. By 3:30 a.m., Fletcher has processed 11 bomb runs, 7 produced viable stops, 4 were duds, requiring reset and alternative cribs. At 4:15 a.m., a courier brings word that overnight decrypts revealed German 352nd Infantry Division reinforcing the Normandy coastline, a detail that will prove critical when Allied forces storm those beaches in 7 weeks. Diana Fletcher won't learn about D-Day's success until she hears it on the BBC radio like everyone else. She won't know that her night shift contributions helped Allied commanders understand German defensive positions with unprecedented clarity. She just knows she's cold, tired, and Machine 82 is ready for another run. Section 6, The Invasion Intelligence, June 6, 1944. 6:35 a.m., Hut 3, D-Day. The room is chaos. Teleprinters clatter non-stop, spitting encrypted German messages faster than analysts can process them. Intelligence Officer Captain William Bundy, 31, Yale graduate, former State Department analyst, reads intercepts as they arrive, still warm from the decryption machines. Today is D-Day. Operation Overlord. 150,000 Allied troops are landing on 5 Normandy beaches, supported by 7,000 naval vessels and 11,000 aircraft. It's the largest amphibious invasion in human history, and Bletchley Park is reading the German response in real time. 6:35 a.m., intercept from German 716th Infantry Division headquarters at Caen. Enemy paratroops landing east of Orne River. Heavy naval bombardment along coast. Request immediate reinforcement. 6:52 m. Intercept from Luftwaffe 3rd Fighter Wing. Allied air superiority total. Unable to conduct reconnaissance. All sorties meeting overwhelming fighter resistance. 7:18 am. Intercept from German Naval Group West. Large invasion fleet observed Channel sector. Estimate 200+ vessels. Unable to engage due to Allied air cover. Bundy timestamps each message, highlights critical details, passes summaries to teleprinter operators who transmit ultra-intelligence directly to Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force. Processing time, under 3 hours from German transmission to Allied command, in some cases faster. At 8:42 a.m., Bletchley Park intercepts an urgent message from General Feldmarschall von Rundstedt requesting permission to deploy reserve panzer divisions toward the invasion beaches. The decrypt reaches General Eisenhower's headquarters by 9:30 a.m., less than 50 minutes later. This is Ultra's ultimate test, maintaining pace with a fast-moving battle where every hour brings tactical shifts, where commanders need intelligence immediately, not tomorrow, Bletchley Park rises to the challenge. The facility has taken the unprecedented risk of installing intercept equipment on site at Hut 18, allowing Y-station operators to grab German radio signals directly instead of waiting for courier delivery. Bombs run at maximum capacity, processing cipher settings with ruthless efficiency. The 7,000-person workforce operates at surge tempo, with personnel pulling double shifts despite exhaustion. By the end of June 6th, Bletchley Park will have decrypted and processed approximately 5,000 German messages, nearly double their average daily output. Over the following weeks, as Allied forces push inland, Ultra-intelligence provides continuous updates on German defensive positions, reinforcement movements, supply shortages, and command disputes. Field commanders learn to trust Ultra implicitly. General George S. Patton, commanding the U.S. Third Army, demands that decrypted German messages be on his desk every morning, a requirement maintained until Germany's surrender. British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery uses ultra-intelligence to anticipate German counterattacks during the Battle of Normandy. Allied naval commanders route convoys around U-boat positions identified through decrypted naval traffic. The strategic impact is immeasurable. Ultra doesn't win the war alone. Soldiers still fight, sailors still navigate hostile seas, pilots still face anti-aircraft fire. But Ultra provides an advantage no previous military force in history has possessed: the ability to read your enemy's plans as he makes them. Historians will later estimate that Ultra-intelligence shortened World War II by at least 2 years. 2 years of combat avoided. Millions of lives saved. Allied soldiers who didn't die in prolonged battles, civilians who didn't endure extended occupation, Holocaust victims who might have been liberated sooner. And none of it would exist without the industrial code-breaking machine built at Bletchley Park. The bombs, the cryptanalysts, the linguists, the engineers, the clerks, the motorcycle couriers, the 7,000 people working 8-hour shifts around the clock to decrypt 3,000 messages per day. Section 7. The German Blindness, July 20th, 1944, 10:45 a.m., Hut 3. Post-invasion analysis. Squadron leader Eric Jones reviews ultra-intercepts from the past 6 weeks, compiling a strategic assessment for MI6. The question military intelligence wants answered: do the Germans know? Do they suspect that Enigma has been compromised? Has the Wehrmacht's high command realized that Allied forces are reading their encrypted communications? The evidence suggests not. Despite Ultra's massive intelligence haul, thousands of decrypted messages revealing German movements, strengths, strategies, there's no indication that German leadership suspects systematic cipher compromise. Intercepted messages show German commanders attributing Allied successes to superior air reconnaissance, spy networks, captured documents, lucky guesses. They never consider that their unbreakable Enigma machine has been broken. This is partly due to German overconfidence. Enigma's designers calculated that the machine's rotor system, plugboard configurations, and daily setting changes create billions of possible cipher combinations. Breaking Enigma through mathematical analysis should be impossible, they believed. They were wrong. But their wrongness is compounded by Allied operational security so tight that even most Allied personnel don't know Ultra exists. Churchill establishes strict protocols. Ultra-intelligence must never be acted upon in ways that reveal its source. If Ultra decrypts reveal a German convoy's position, the Royal Navy doesn't immediately attack. First, they send reconnaissance aircraft to spot the convoy, establishing a cover story. If Ultra exposes a Luftwaffe raid plan, British air defences don't scramble fighters prematurely. They wait until radar systems provide plausible justification. Sometimes, tragically, Allied commanders let German attacks succeed rather than risk exposing Ultra. Coventry's November 1940 bombing is the most controversial example. Ultra decrypts warned of the impending raid. But Churchill allegedly chose not to evacuate the city, fearing that obvious preparation would alert Germans to cipher compromise. Hundreds died to protect the secret. The deception extends beyond operations. Captured German officers are interrogated using information derived from Ultra, but interrogators pretend the intelligence came from other prisoners, documents, or aerial reconnaissance. Double agents controlled by British intelligence feed the Germans misleading information that's confirmed by carefully crafted Enigma traffic the Germans believe is secure. The Germans never catch on. Even as the Wehrmacht collapses in 1945, even as Allied forces demonstrate uncanny knowledge of German positions and strategies, German commanders never realize that their most trusted communication system has been utterly compromised for years. It's one of history's most successful intelligence operations, not just breaking enemy codes, but maintaining the deception so completely that the enemy never suspects, never adapts, never changes their encryption methods. And it depends entirely on the 7,000 people at Bletchley Park keeping the secret, not just during the war, but after. Section 8. The Silence, May 8th, 1945. 3:30 p.m. Bletchley Park, VE Day. Germany has surrendered. The war in Europe is over. In Block D, Ruth Bourne watches engineers begin dismantling the bomb machines. The 213 bombs that cracked Enigma's secrets will be destroyed, scrapped, erased from existence. Not one will survive intact. British intelligence is determined that no evidence of their code-breaking methods will fall into Soviet hands or be preserved for future enemies to study. Bourne doesn't speak. She's been on shift for 8 hours, and there are no more German messages to decrypt. The mechanical thunder that filled her days and nights for 13 months is falling silent. Soon there will be nothing left but memory, and memory she's legally forbidden to discuss. Senior Staff Officer Commander Edward Travis addresses the assembled Bletchley Park personnel in an outdoor ceremony. 7,000 people stand in uneven rows across the grounds. Travis thanks them for their service, commends their dedication, reminds them that the Official Secrets Act remains in force indefinitely. "What you accomplished here must remain secret," Travis states, his voice carrying across the crowd. "You will not discuss your work with family, friends, colleagues, or historians. You will not write memoirs. You will not seek recognition. The enemy is defeated, but the methods we used must be protected." The silence holds for 30 years. Ruth Bourne returns to civilian life, becomes a secretary, marries, raises children. She never mentions Bletchley Park. Her family thinks she spent the war doing clerical work. When her daughter asks what she did during the war, Bourne says, "Just routine office duties, dear." Margaret Briggs moves to Canada, works as a librarian. She never speaks about Hut 6, never reveals that she spent years identifying patterns in encrypted German messages. Diana Fletcher becomes a teacher in Surrey. Her students never learn that their mild-mannered history instructor once operated code-breaking machines during the graveyard shift, processing intelligence that helped win the war. Most Bletchley Park veterans take the secret to their graves. Some die without their own spouses knowing what they accomplished. The first public disclosure comes in 1974, when Group Captain F.W. Winterbotham publishes The Ultra Secret, revealing Bletchley Park's existence to the world. Even then, many veterans remain silent, uncertain whether they're permitted to speak. Ruth Bourne, age 92, gives her first interview about Bletchley Park in 2018, 73 years after VE Day. She describes the bombs, the 8-hour shifts, the pressure, the midnight code changes. When asked why she stayed silent so long, she says simply, "We were told it was secret, so we kept it secret." That's the final, most extraordinary dimension of Bletchley Park's achievement. Not just the industrial-scale code-breaking, not just the 3,000 messages decrypted daily, not just the real-time intelligence that changed the course of history. It's that 12,000 people kept an absolute secret for 3 decades. 12,000 people who saved millions of lives by shortening the war, who gave Allied commanders unprecedented intelligence advantages, who built the foundation for modern computer science and cryptography, and who walked away without recognition, without public gratitude, without breaking their silence, even when silence demanded they live without credit for their greatest accomplishments. They were told the work was important. They were told it was secret. So they did the work and kept the secret. For 30 years, the geese that laid golden eggs never cackled. The legacy in silicon present day. The bomb machines are gone, destroyed in 1945 to protect their secrets. But their legacy endures in every computer processor, every encrypted message, every digital device you use. Alan Turing's theoretical work on computational machines, developed while designing the bomb, became the foundation for modern computing. Gordon Welchman's innovations in parallel processing influenced computer architecture for decades. The engineers who built Colossus, the world's first programmable electronic computer designed to break Hitler's Lorenz cipher, pioneered techniques that led directly to post-war computer development. Bletchley Park's cryptanalysts didn't just win a war, they invented the information age. Today, Bletchley Park is a museum. You can walk through reconstructed huts, see replica bomb machines, read the names on the Roll of Honor, listing the 12,000 codebreakers who worked there. Plaques commemorate Turing, Welchman, and other leaders. But most of the names are unknown. Most of the 7,000 people who operated the industrial code-breaking machine in 1944 remain anonymous. Ruth Bourne, Diana Fletcher, Margaret Briggs, Janet Mills, David Hastings, Edward Thomas. Thousands of others whose names appear in no history books, whose contributions are documented only in fragmentary records. They worked 8-hour shifts in rotating cycles, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4 p.m. to midnight, midnight to 8 a.m. They processed 3,000 German messages per day in 1943, rising to 5,000 during D-Day operations in 1944. They cracked Enigma settings in under 3 hours, giving Allied commanders real-time intelligence on German movements, strengths, strategies. They tracked every Wehrmacht division in Western Europe with unprecedented accuracy, building order of battle maps updated daily using decrypted enemy communications. They read Hitler's orders to his generals before those generals received them. They shortened World War II by an estimated 2 years, saving millions of lives, and they did it in silence, without recognition, because they were told it was necessary. The scale of their achievement is difficult to comprehend. Imagine decrypting and analyzing thousands of messages daily while maintaining absolute operational security. Imagine doing this for years without seeing results, without public acknowledgement, without even knowing whether your work matters. Imagine keeping that secret for 3 decades after the war ends. That's the true story of Ultra. Not just a technological triumph, but a human one. The Codebreakers of Bletchley Park proved that ordinary people, given extraordinary responsibility and held to uncompromising standards, can accomplish the impossible. They worked in shifts, operated machines, checked stops, rode motorcycles through rain, translated German, analyzed intelligence, and maintained silence. They were the industrial code-breaking machine that cracked the Reich. And for 30 years, they never told anyone.